Shut up and sit down.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast brought to you by Tactacam. Tactacam is by far the easiest way to begin filming your hunts. Whether it's the budget-friendly Solo or the 4K Tactacam 5.0, there's something for everybody to begin filming your hunts with. So check them out at Tactacam.com. This week, John and I talk through the last chaotic bits of the plans for our elk hunt. Frank and Ernie are out in the field. One of our counterparts, our taxidermist, is out there with him. He's shot a 4x4 already. Things are looking up, but John and I are scrambling, getting ready to head back out west and chase some elk. So this podcast is going to be the last one for a week or so. We'll both be out elk hunting and won't have service. Won't be able to publish anything. So definitely go over, check out our YouTube page. We've got some videos over there, and this podcast kind of touches on it, but we're looking for some guidance on what you guys want to see from us as far as video content. But we get into it on the podcast, so I don't want to talk about it too much here, keep it too long, but we're really trying to cater to you guys, both with the content on the podcast as well as the video stuff. So check it out. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to see less of, what you want to see more of, what we can do. It's a Bowhunter Chronicles podcast on YouTube. And, if you like what we're doing, you want to see more videos, you want more interactive content, you want to have a little bit more say in the show, check out our Patreon page. Patreon helps us to be able to do these kinds of things, upgrade our equipment, do some giveaways. So right now what we've got going on is we have our giveaway, which the third quarter is going to end October 1st. It'll end October 1st. That'll start the fourth quarter. We've got a 4-pack of the Beast sticks that we're giving away to one of our Patreons. We have also a Tactacam Solo package, like we mentioned right at the beginning of the intro. So we've got one of those that we're giving away. We have as always, the base map. They have a base map pro that they're giving away with a swag pack, with a shirt and hat and some other stuff from base map. And that goes, the money from Patreon goes right into doing that sort of stuff and kind of working with people so that we can make sure to have something for you guys, for the patrons, the ones that support us. But outside of that, Patreon doesn't really like us doing giveaways or anything like that. So I did buy a 3-pack of the Hawk helium sticks, and we're going to give those away to anybody random. Doesn't have to be a Patreon. One of our Patrons all of our Patrons will certainly be in that giveaway as well. All you're going to have to do is subscribe to our YouTube page, and then I will put up a post on Friday, and that's going to run all the way until October 1st. And so when we do our Patreon giveaway, we will also do the giveaway for those sticks for you guys supporting our YouTube page. So all you've got to do, there'll be a post on Instagram that I'll put up this Friday, and subscribe to the YouTube page and like that photo on Instagram. So that's all you have to do, and be looking for that. I'll put that out before I get on the plane on Friday and head out to Colorado, so you'll have some time to check that out. But this episode, it's just kind of John and I kicking back. We talk about a little bit of different gear, we talk about a few other things, but honestly, this one right here is just kind of us going through our last-minute preparations for the elk hunt. John makes some kind of bold predictions, and he's got some tech tips in there as well for you, as well as poking a lot of fun at me. So I know you guys are going to like this one. It's a pretty laid-back podcast with just John and I, but enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening. All right, everybody, Adam and John back with another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast. We are in, crunch time for our elk hunts, and so we're going to kind of do a little status. I did This will be coming out in a couple days, but I did a little panorama of the podcasting area right now.
Oh, Jesus.
And John is in overdrive. So Frank and Ernie are out hunting. They're in Colorado already. One of the guys in their party, our taxidermist, and our friend Dan, shot a 4x4. And so Frank and Ernie got to pack that off the mountain. So needless to say, with Frank being involved, there'll be stories.
I'm sure someone shit their pants along the way or something.
But so most of my stuff is out there, and we'll go through that. But John, real quick, how did you spend your holiday weekend, or why does the bow shop look the way that it does today?
I spent my holiday weekend with you hanging out in a freaking camping corral, getting a little sideways, but and working on bows during the daytime. I made about 40 trips to the pro shop and back, picking up parts and trying to get everybody's bows done before I leave. So,
do you have any public service announcement for guys that are just thinking now's probably the time to dust off their case? And
yeah, now's not the time. You're late. You're late to the show. So get your act together and don't be an Adam. Hey, I had to build a new string for Adam the day before his bow left for town, or for Colorado. So, because he was dinking around too.
Well,
of course, I built the first string, and there was, I don't know, there was something I didn't like about it. I don't know what happened with it.
The peep kept twisting it. We couldn't.
Yeah, and I couldn't get the twist out of it, so I, of course, I was going on vacation. I was up in the UP a couple times and went up Torch Lake and got back and was like, well, I'm done dealing with this string. I mean, I could have ripped all the serving off and reserved the one end. I'm pretty sure that's where the problem was. But I was like, screw it, and just built a new string for it. So I gave him the Halloween green and orange string.
Yeah, it doesn't match. It's, whatever. It shoots. It's fine.
It was shooting pretty good when it left town. So.
Yeah, and I mean, most of my stuff is in Colorado right now. I'm just, some clothing type stuff, and then, some of my cameras and whatever. John does have me freaked out, though. I was going to tell him this earlier, but, because he's like, well, I'm bringing this other release because I got a backup release, and I'm like, I've only got one thumb release. And so he's like, because you're not wearing it if you lose it. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. Like, I mean, I've got my wrist strap release that I'm going to bring with me, but I need to shoot that, before, but it's going to be the same.
And I carry my old wrist strap release in my whitetail pack just as a, back, because I have forgot my release in the truck before. But yeah, out there, I mean, it's different. If you got your wrist strap on, you're obviously not going to lose it. It's not going to fall off during the day when you're dinking around. But if you're shooting a thumb release like our Noctuits or like the Wise Choice, shoot, I lost my blue Wise Choice on the mount up at Total Archery Challenge one year, walking along, and I stick it in the side pocket of my bino harness, and all of a sudden we got to the next target. It's like, oh shit, I lost my release somewhere along the way, and luckily it was Danny Wilkes, the guy who got the bull out there. Him and my brother in that group were following us, and they come walking up. He's like, man, check this out. I got a shiny new release. Like, thanks. So, yeah, out there walking around and you drop your release, shoot, you might never find it.
Yeah.
I mean,
so like my hunt looks way different. Both of our hunts are going to look way different than it did last time. So I'm flying into Colorado, getting picked up, and then meeting back up with Frank and Ernie. They'll already have been out there for 2 weeks, and then I'll be catching up with one of our buddies, Joe, who I just talked to tonight. He's out hunting, and a couple of spots, all the water dried up, so he's already on to plan B and C at this point. So hopefully, when I roll into town, those guys will have an idea of at least where to start.
Now, have you been doing any e-scouting yourself?
Not really.
So you're just like
Well,
put all your eggs in their basket.
Well, it's not necessarily that. I mean, Joe lives out there and he's doing like real-time scouting.
Right.
And he's showing me like the areas, and we've done a few Zoom calls where we're on there looking at, a whole bunch of different plans. And then, one of our other buddies sent us some points from when he was out there years ago, and the points all kind of line up to places that we've talked about on the maps anyways that Joe's already familiar with. So, I mean, yeah, I can, reinvent the wheel, but realistically, I know that there's like 7 or 8 different areas.
But you have been looking at them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at them today. I went through and downloaded all my stuff,
Right.
and I've been kind of like just trying to go over in my mind both of the things, all the different points that they showed us, and then kind of just quick glancing over them and looking at why and the terrain and like,
right.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I mean. I mean,
yeah.
I got kind of the same thing. My buddy Eddie's living in Bozeman. He's actually out there. He was hunting this weekend. He actually sent me some pictures of a couple spikes in the area that we were going, but then he was planning on staying out there Friday night, and he actually ended up he got evacuated off the mountain because it's all on fire. So that throws a big wrench in our.
And that's in
Bozeman,
Montana.
Yeah. So that right there, Plan A looks like it might be out the window already. So we'll see. I mean, I know he's got other spots, but I've got several other spots too that I've been e-scouting just to make sure, if it doesn't work out. So.
Well, and like I said, I just want to kind of go through. Like I said, for me, it's. My time frame is very finite. I fly in on this day. I fly out on this day. This is what's going on. John's driving out there. He has a $70,000 trip planned. If you were to count his purchases and gear lists for the trip.
Come on.
Tell me I'm wrong. Right off this.
No. Well, I had to get a new truck, so.
So
the wife didn't want me driving the new Jeep with the hole in the hood, so she said, I guess it's time to get a new truck. So, yeah. But that's for other things too. So.
Well, I mean, like I said, we're just gonna have to write that off for the cost of the podcast.
Exactly.
We're in the red.
Right.
So sign up for Patreon, folks. We got some great good giveaways going on.
I'll put your name on the truck. We'll have some stickers made.
But so your trip out there, so I'm flying out the 11th, and you're going out there.
I'm leaving the 10th now. So originally I was, plan. I always said around the 12th. So I'm going to end up hopping on the Cross Lake Ferry, the Lake Express, Thursday afternoon. I think the last trip across is 4:00. So that would put me over Milwaukee about 5:30 their time. And then I'm just going to head straight. I'm going to get over to eastern Montana, and then just, depending on what time I get there, it'll probably still be dark. I'm just going to sleep in the truck for a minute and then get up, and I got some areas scoped out to try to do some spot stock antelope. So I plan on doing that at least for all day Friday, and then that'll put me into Bozeman, Saturday afternoon sometime. And then after that, it's going to be just pretty much elk until I get one down, hopefully.
When you're going out there, there's another guy from here that's going out there. When is he planning on?
So he's leaving Friday morning. He's taking the other Cross Lake Ferry, the old Badger, which is out of Ludington. So he's taking, I think that boat leaves at like 8 a.m., but it's a 4-hour trip on that boat. Puts him into Manitowoc. So then he's just going to leave, so he'll get over there Friday, probably around noon. And then he's going to drive kind of straight through to Bozeman. So we'll probably be hitting Bozeman about the same time on Saturday. Hopefully I have a cooler full of antelope.
Well, my question for you on that was, like, are you planning on as soon as you get there, Saturday morning, heading out to the mountain? Are you, you're catching up with your buddy? Are you?
Yeah, we're probably not gonna start hunting until Sunday morning. So I'm not sure if we're gonna maybe hike in Saturday afternoon, and just get in there early Sunday morning. Most likely that'll be the take, because then I'll be able to get into Eddie's house, unload my gear, go through everything, get everything set up, help Mark get set up because he just got his pack last week, and he hasn't even packed it yet. So he said his plan is to pack it. I'm just going to pack it when I get out there. I'm like, all right.
So when John says that I'm so far behind and I'm so last minute, and in my defense, there was a very little sense of urgency for me because, Frank and Ernie were leaving, and it just completely slipped my mind that they were taking all my stuff. So I was like, I got a couple weeks to get this figured out, Like, no.
That's what I said. If it were me, I would have said, okay, I'd send all my other gear, and I would have kept the bow here and shot it for another week and a half, 2 weeks, and just made sure that everything stayed good. But it left good. It should be good when you get there.
It was shooting fine, and I mean, I don't know what, like, all the banging around, and if something happened for flying with it, because I don't have a nice cat. Like, that was one of the things that I was like debating on buying, but then when they were like, well, I'm going to take my, just throw it in the trailer, then that's what I did. But
they parked the quads on it.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I my point is I wasn't that last minute. I had everything good to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Not. Oh, look around, John.
Oh, my shit. Yeah,
you just built your string.
Well, yeah, that wasn't my fault. I had the bow. I had the parts on order since I got the bow, and the limbs just came in last week. So I got and then I found out that one of the axles was bent, which is really odd. I mean, that had to be like a factory. There's no way I could have bent that axle. Those are 1/4-inch axles. So, but they overnighted a set to me, and I'm good to go. Now it's shooting pretty good. But I do, there's some things I like or dislike about that PSE is the tunability. Like, if you had, like, in order to get a perfect bullet hole with a bare shaft, which I actually do have perfect bullet holes with 2 different size shafts, but then my broadheads are drifting over a little bit. They're shooting like 3 inches right and 20 yards, which I'm not happy about, but I'll figure it out. But so, like with my old Hoyt, it was just a matter of, I set my center shot, and then I go and just tune it with my yoke tune after that to make sure everything is in line. And then I never had a problem with my broadheads flying one way or the other compared to my field tips, and this one you're adjusting it with your rest. So now you're changing your center shot, which means, you could get a little bit of drift, which is what's happening. So I don't know. Maybe I'm splitting hairs now, but you got a bullet hole. I'm doing it at 7 yards, so 21 feet through the paper with a bare shaft. You should think it's getting pretty good flight. But I put but that's with my small AAE fletchings. It's which ones are? Sorry for the background noise. It's the PM23s. Now with my Max Stealth, I'm hitting in the same spot, so it's telling me it's a matter of steering on the back end. So, but I'm not doing the Ranch Fairy heavy FLC either. I'm shooting 100 grain Trokar and 100 grain Slick Trick. Basically the same setup I brought out to Idaho with 50 grains of brass up front.
So what does the timeline of your hunt look like? So you're going to take a day an antelope hunt, but
so I'm pretty open ended. I have like 3 weeks that I can be gone. So and then that puts me right into the start of bow hunting here, which I'm kind of not even. I haven't done any scouting really. I don't have any cameras out yet, or got my first camera actually. So the new Tacticam, which it seems really legit. I got some one of my good buddies actually was showing me when we were up at Torch Lake. He's showing me all these pictures of his bucks. I'm like, man, that's some pretty good footage. He's like, yeah, I got the new Reveal Tacticam. I'm like, well, sweet. I got a brand new one sitting on my workbench. I just haven't put it out yet. So,
yeah, like we were the second wave to get those. They sent us some, but they had sold out of all the first run, and so we just got them. I actually just got mine set up today, and I don't have it out yet, but I was just playing around with it and getting pictures. And
well, that was one of the things. Like I said, this is the first camera out, but going off of like what my buddy Scott said, he had some of the spy points, and he's out in like this farm country. It's kind of out, rural area, not real good reception, and the spy point was real spotty on getting the footage sent to him. And he's put his Tacticam in the same exact spot, and with that antenna, he's like, I had 3 bars. He's like, I have no problem getting reception at all. And he's like, getting pictures, bam, bam, bam. So that seemed pretty, some good news there.
And you're going out there with an antelope tag, an elk tag, and a deer tag.
Correct.
So how does the priority?
So like I said, I'm not going to put a ton of time in on the way out with the antelope. I'm just going to, basically road hunt heading west. There's some BLM land, a lot of BLM land, and I'm just going to try to spot some on the side, and then, depending on what the terrain's like, see if I can put in a spot and stalk on them, maybe chase them to the next county or something. But if it works out, it'll be awesome. Otherwise, like I said, I'll still be just kind of slowly making my way west towards Bozeman. And then once I get there, then it's elk's definitely the priority. So if I get elk down, hopefully within a week or two, that would give me a few days then to go after some whitetails. And plus, we've seen some really nice whitetails right in the same area when I was out there a couple years ago. So if the opportunity presents itself, I'll definitely arrow a whitetail or at least shoot at one.
And how does that fit in with your hunting party? Because that's one of the things we talked about with Dirk, about like who's the shooter, who's the thing. You obviously have a lot more time and preparation, sounds like, put in than your buddy that's going out there also.
Right.
The guy that lives out there, he lives out there, but he's also taking time to hunt with you guys and stuff. So how does that?
Yeah, so he's his schedule is pretty open. He's a farrier, so he's working his butt off, and he's scheduled it to where he's got 2 weeks off, and he can actually push it out farther. And so his priority definitely is elk. My buddy Mark, who's going out there with me, he didn't get the big game combo, so he's just after elk. And so if I shoot a whitetail, then I'm going to, that's going to be on me. I will pack that out myself, obviously. And, Eddie has a packer lined up for the elk. But if I shoot the whitetail, I'll take care of that myself, and then I'll meet them back out. So, and then, get it back. He's got a walk-in cooler and stuff right at his house. So I'll get that back and get it hung up, and, then I'll be back in the woods, maybe get a shower or something. So hopefully, I'm excited. I'm excited just for the ride out and just getting back out west, man. You know how it was like when we hit South Dakota on our way out to Idaho, and we seen all them freaking antelope just running around. And I'm like, man, I really want to chase those suckers. So I'm looking forward to that. And so say I fill my tag, I get my elk filled, and maybe a whitetail or not, and obviously it's time to get, depending on what the situation looks like. If I'm not seeing the whitetail or a mule deer, then I'll turn around and start heading back east and then put some more time in on those the speed goats.
Yeah, another thing that we got cool here, I was just thinking about that when you're saying not seeing them or whatever, is we got the Tactacam sent us one of their LR spotters. So it's basically like a Tactacam video camera that goes right on your spotting scope, and it's got a viewfinder so you can watch it, and you can even zoom it in from that. So some of the product testing guys, you can see them that they're using it like 2 miles away on like the big, like the real actual mountain goats and stuff like that. So we're sending that out with John because his buddy's got
he's got the big 80 power Swarovski, so that'd be sweet to hook that up to that. Be looking over at the next mountain. So we'll have some cool footage.
Yeah, and we're all split up. So, Frank and Ernie have got one of the Sony Handycams that they're comfortable running and a couple of the Tactacams. So Lord only knows like what's going to come, from that experience. And then I guess, how are you planning on documenting your side of the trip?
So I think most of it's going to be either like, just self footage with the Tactacam or my cell phone. I don't have like the little vlog camera. But I plan on maybe running some. Well, we still have what's the camcorder? One of the handy cams.
Oh, that G30?
Yeah, is that the new one?
Yeah.
So were you planning on taking that with you, or
No.
am I taking that with me?
It's all dependent on what you want to do.
Well, I'll take it with, because obviously, like if I get an animal down, then I can film those guys, and that'd be some cool footage too. But I'd like to run like some, everyone does it, but some time lapse on the way out, loading up my stuff. I know Jack, who I was just working on his bow Friday, he's like, yeah, it'd be cool. I really like seeing, like your progress. So I'm looking forward to that. So.
Well, and yeah, so this is good. It's a good time to interject on this one. So for you guys that are listening, you're really following along, one of our Patreons, he was saying, enough with the damn saddle stuff, and it's all tethered guys and stuff like that. And it's unfortunate, but it's cool also is that those are our friends. Like those are guys that we have access to just call up and shoot the shit, and it's fun to talk with and
drink beer, hang out.
Yeah,
they're a good group of guys. Period.
Yeah,
and they have a good product. So.
Yeah, and then we did the Latitude, and it was the saddles, and that's what I said on that one. But I asked him straight away, like, what do you want to hear from us? Like, is there any guests? Is there anything? Because we're always looking for ideas and try not to be redundant or like follow what everybody else is doing. The saddle stuff is just, there's so many new saddles and stuff coming out, and there's so many people that have questions. That's, people want to hear about that. So let us know what you want to hear about. But anyways, he said, I kind of like the ones where you guys just sit down and shoot the shit and kind of, banter back and forth. And so that kind of leads into like, I'm starting to do more videos, albeit they just happen to be about some of the new saddle products, but to get over on our YouTube. So we're trying to get more stuff put up there. But the hard part is, and John and I have been having this conversation, is like, we're doing this stuff anyways. Like if you were to walk in here right now or see that video on Instagram, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like there is so much like archery bow tuning going on here just within like my one arm's reach of, it's rather impressive. But we don't post pictures of that every day, or we try and do a little bit, but we are not vlogging that. My brother-in-law and I went out, and John said he's not ready for whitetail. I've got some spots that I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to check out, and I went in and we did like 3.5 mile round trip to set a trail camera, where we had to walk through a creek, and he fell in. Like, it's just all this stuff where we didn't video any of it, because it's like, if you don't get anything on the trail camera, or if you don't edit it, it's just a whole big long 20-minute thing. It's like, who's going to watch this? So if you're listening and following along with the podcast, check out our YouTube and let us know like what you want to see more of, because we can certainly do those time lapses and that sort of stuff, and we're going to try and do like a small weekly video with John about maybe one thing here or there that you can to improve your bow, check your bow, that learn how to tune your rest, or something like that, set your center shot. But it's all stuff that we're doing every day. But I feel like there's so many people that do it just for social media, and it's very disingenuous. Like, oh, here I am getting my bow out and all this stuff. And it's like, I came over, it's just getting dusk over here, and all I see is green lights. And I'm like, oh, John's out shooting his bow in the dark. I mean, how do you feel about that sort of stuff? Like, because you see the stuff on Instagram and social media and stuff like that, and a lot of the YouTube stuff, and it's like, how do you?
Well, yeah, I mean, for one, like you're saying, I'm out here I've been working on it, especially like it's been the last couple of weeks. I even went and filled in at Johnson's a couple times, working on bows, helping him out, because this is like crunch time, obviously. Everyone is waiting to the last minute. I mean, at least it's not last minute, but getting out here, and for me, trying to get these bows done and then trying to film it is like, man, this would probably be a cool video, but I need to get this done. So I kind of don't have time to do both and then edit it and everything else. But if it's what people want to see, one of the ways I learned, I'm continuously learning. So if there's something I'm not familiar with, then I'll search it up myself and look at it, and then see if it's good information or not, and then put it to the test, and be like, well, yeah, that was kind of some bogus information, or no, that was good, really good information. Like I was out here working on bows yesterday. Buddy of mine I went to school with seen I was out in the garage, and I told him I actually was looking at his bow up at the pro shop, and I told him, like, well, hey, if I'm ever out there, if you have any questions, then just stop by. So he actually had just got done shooting the 3D course up north, and seen me in the garage, so he stopped in with his bow, and it's an expedition. Well, I don't have any like hands-on experience with expedition. We shot them, we looked at them at ATA, but there's none at the dealerships around here that I know of. And so he's like, can you check this out? My serving's coming apart on the down at the lower end. And it's literally, it was cut right through, and the serving was coming unwound. And so I put it in the draw board and pulled it back, and that cam was flipped right over side. Like, it was scary. It was leaned over so far that the next cam notch or track rubbed a hole through the serving. So I'm like, but I already had like 3 bows going on the bench at the time, so, and a set of strings. So I'm like, if I had time, I would try to figure this out. If it would have been like a Hoyt or something, I could have been, okay, this is what the problem is, which I've never seen a Hoyt or PSC with that kind of cam lean. So I'm like, I gotta be honest, I'm not familiar with this bow and this system, and so I would have to look it up, and that would be something where if there's some videos out there on that situation, and maybe that would be something, I could have researched it and then done a video on, okay, this was the problem, this is what the solution was, and do a video.
Yeah, I think that helps guide us because it's like, it's weird because we started this podcast because we have these conversations, and it's because you're doing that, and I'm trying to learn about more gear and asking questions and doing all of that. And now it's like, well, we need a video on everything that you do every goddamn day. It's like, yeah. Well, we need a little bit more direction. One thing I lack is direction.
Well, I think I was talking to Frank before he left, and I was kind of ragging on you a little bit. I was like, we started the podcast because we were doing this because of the hunting. It was like, well, we're doing this, and we talk about it, so we might as well start a podcast about it. So then I'm like, Adam's got so many, sticks in the fire right now that I think the hunting part's actually kind of taking back burner. He's got the Vitals going. He's got our podcast. He's freaking networking. Like every time I see him, he's on the phone or, texting someone. The other night we're at the fire and Adam disappears for like an hour and a half. And this is at like 10:30 at night. And it's like, what the hell? Where'd Adam go? Oh, he's like on a business call. I'm like, hey, the hunting comes first, Adam. You gotta. That's what I was telling Frank. I'm like, maybe we need to, get that into Adam's head.
Well, I don't think that at all. And to be honest with you, I want to say I don't know. I just have such a good feeling about it. Because the best year that I had whitetail hunting or hunting at all was when we went out west, and it's because even when we go to Ohio, Missouri, up to the UP, I feel like you're always hitting the same ground. You know what I mean? Everything is so small in comparison to when you go out west. And so, what you were saying, have I been looking at the maps or whatever? They're 40-minute drives from here to here, and the one thing that's stuck in my mind from when we came back from out west the last time was I'd pull up Onyx, or now we've got Base Map, but I'd pull up the map and I'd look at the distance from here to there, and I'm like, I know it's just right through there, but man, on the scale of the phone, it looks like that would be about 2 miles, because that's about what we were traveling every little jaunt,
Mm-hmm.
And then I did the line, and it's 250 yards. I'm like, oh, and so seeing new country and everything, right now with the hunting portion of it, around here, I'm just going out and finding new spots and figuring it out, because I'm not gonna have a problem. I'm not worried about trekking out and finding it. And I think when we were in Idaho, reading the sign, because we had no experience with the area, so everything was fresh. Every time we saw something, it was the first time we saw it, or we saw that it wasn't there yesterday, and now we need to,
right now it's there today.
And so from the hunting aspect of it, with all of this, it's it's not the same hunt as we went on before. I mean, we're gonna be base camped in a camper, and then going out for a day or so, kind of like what you're doing, and then back, and so.
Well,
I'm more focused this time on the calling and the strategy, and just upgrading my equipment a little bit, rather than trying to relearn I'm starting elk hunting all over again,
So just to correct, we plan on doing 3-4 day bivvy hunts. So
yeah,
we're gonna go in. I got all my ready wise meals and stuff, and that's what half of the messes in this garage is like I have to get all my kit packed up and
Organized.
Yeah, it was kind of organized, but then I started working on bows and pushing shit out of the way, and then this got thrown in there and that, and now I got my Bronc box is blown up. The freaking elk target or my elk decoy keeps popping up and flying out at me. She's showing her ass to us right now, I think. But yeah, so I do plan on we're going to do. The plan is to do similar to what we did out west or out in Idaho. I mean, but it's definitely not as big a country.
Yeah.
Like where we were at in Idaho, it was just nothing. Like we could have started walking on day one and just kept walking in a straight line if you could, and never hit another. We would have walked out of our unit basically,
but we would have not hit a main road.
Yeah, or let alone a house or private property. Now we're out where we're at, Montana. It's like we could do probably a 40-mile loop, but it's completely surrounded by private. So we're up in the mountains, and we got to use public access to get back in there, and then work our way around it. So it's a little bit different, like in that aspect, but it will be like if we hunt this area out, there's no elk, and it's just going to be okay. Now we got to go to Plan B spot, which we might have to start. Our Plan B might be Plan A now that the mountain's on fire.
Yeah, the hunting's always going to be there. It was yesterday morning. Yesterday I went out and did that big scouting expedition, but it was cold. It was cold in the morning, and it was like, man, this is like bow hunting. And then driving up, I just had memories of like, I don't know, my dad and I, we always hunted. I feel like it was like on Sunday. Like on Sunday, we'd leave at like noon and hunt the evening, and it'd be like, kind of chilly, but nice and sunny, and you knew it was going to be colder, and like it just feels like hunting season all of a sudden, And I don't know. It's always about the hunting, John. It's not always about shooting 100 arrows a day.
But that is a big thing. You want to be confident and efficient with your equipment.
Yeah.
So, which I'm confident in my ability, but I'm not quite at 100% with my equipment yet. I'm still, working out some bugs.
I'll tell you what. So they've got my bow and my release, and so I've been shooting here with the Silverback and that Carbon Knight that I've got. And then we built up a set of those 300 Spine Day 6s, and they're like 590 grains. And I fletched up 2 of them, or Frank fletched up 2 of them for me, and the rest of them have the zingers on it.
Why did Frank fletch them up for? I thought you were fletching up some arrows.
I did, but they didn't meet John's quality control, so. They were shooting just fine
till the veins fell off.
They didn't fall off. You ripped them off just because they weren't up to spec. But this is a great transition because I put some of those zingers on those other 4 because I hate fletching arrows, and John was building my string, gone for a week here, 10 days there. So it was like, well, I guess I'll just have to learn how to do it myself. And it wasn't good enough. But I was happy because when I was shooting them, they didn't fall off. But John just ripped them off and said these aren't
Well,
good.
I was like, I looked at them and I was like, matter of fact, I looked at them that first day when I got back when Latitude was over. We had that get together at the barn, at the studio. And I was like, well, that one is like halfway off. And that's when I asked him, like, did you use the primer pen? Yeah, don't mix those up because those are marked.
Hmm.
Those are the limb stops for that Elite, and I have a mark top and bottom, and there's a little marker on the back side of that. See that silver mark?
That?
No, right on the flat spot.
Oh, yeah.
There's a line.
Yeah. There is a method to the madness.
Well, it wouldn't matter really. I mean, they're both identical, but it's just that's how I lay them out and measure everything and then mark them so I know which one's which. But anyway, so I got over there and the vein was falling off, and I was like, "Wow, did you use a primer pen?" Like, nope. Well, here's a tech tip for you guys. If you're going to fletch your own arrows and you're going to use AE Max Stealth vanes, you have to use the primer pen on those vanes to soften up the material so the glue will actually adhere to it. So that's a tip for you. I use the primer pen on every vane. It doesn't matter
what's in the primer pen.
I don't know. It's like it's not. Let me look at it real quick. I don't think it says, but it's like an acetone or some bad shit. It's very flammable. Yeah, I'm not sure. But it's some kind of solvent, acetone type. But definitely use the primer pen. Like I said, I use it on all fletchings, whether it's AE brand, Boning brand, Fusion. It doesn't hurt. You're going to want to clean them anyway, because if you're touching them, like when I put my vane in my clamp, I always press it down with my thumb. Well, right there, I just put oil all over it. You think your hands are clean, but you still have oil in your skin, and it's going to get on that. So I put my vane in the clamp, pop open my primer pen, make sure that it's primed. So it's, I'll dab it on my thumbnail and make sure it's wet. And then I go up and down it 3-4 times. And a lot of times the color will start you'll see like a little hint of the color of whatever. Say I'm using my bright green ones. I'll see like a little bit of a yellow tint, almost like it takes some of that color out. So I know it's softening it up and like breaking it down enough that the glue will adhere to it. And then I always use wraps. Some people don't like wraps, or like the Ranch Fairy, he doesn't want to add weight to the back of the arrow, which that's fine. I like to use wraps just because I'm always like, you see my bucket of arrows here and the shelf and all that. I will redo them all the time, and it's just, I feel it's easier to pull off a wrap than it is to shave off of the super glue right off the carbon shaft, where you start peeling, like you'll see like little strips of gray in that as you're trying to cut them veins off and clean up that shaft. So to me, it's easier to peel off a wrap. The downfall of that is if you shoot through one of your veins, now you got to redo the whole wrap with all the veins. Where if you can possibly clean off one and just put in one new vein on it without a wrap, so you might be beneficial that way. But I just don't like running the knife on a bare carbon shaft.
But I've been shooting those arrows with the other bow, and I've got some of those zingers on there, and they're shooting right with, I've been shooting that bow out to 45 yards just because of the sight that I've got on it and where it, I didn't, it's an old sight. It's not for that heavy an arrow, but it's weird because I know that Troy had said, his arrows were like grouping faster than like the inserts that he had. But like the way that I had that bow set up with the faster arrows, like they were hitting, or the lighter arrows were hitting way lower. I mean, I was shooting.
So your pin gaps are better with
wider. Like, so I had it set at 20 and 30 because it was the bottom pin slider at 20 and 30. 20 was shooting like 6 inches high. So I adjusted that, and I can shoot that 20 all the way out to 35, and then and I can't move that bottom pin up any further, and it shoots. That's at 45. So I've got a 20 and a 45-yard pin.
Now, did you adjust the rest or anything, or you just started shooting those arrows out?
No, I just shoot them right off there.
Okay, because before you were shooting the bloodlines, right?
Outlaws.
The Outlaws, which is the standard size shaft,
Mhm.
and now you just went to like a micro diameter because on day 6 are pretty. Those are a smaller diameter shaft than my Easton Axis. So that right there could be, without shooting it through paper and retuning that rest for that, you could be getting a weird kick out of it. So you could be knock high, knock low, and that might be the reason why you were shooting high. See what I'm saying? So your arrow's doing this off the rest.
They're all shooting in the same spot.
Well, yeah, you'd be consistent. You'd be consistent with a field tip, but you might be getting some planing, is what I'm saying. So you're.
Yeah, John. So that's why I love having this conversation with John, because he's just like, okay, this is what you're doing. But like, so John tells me like, well, if you're going to shoot that bow, like, don't get used to that draw cycle because it's a crazy draw cycle. And it is. And shooting it with the silverback is like the first 5 shots. I'm like, oh, fuck, like, where's it at? Because I'm all the way against the back wall because I don't trust it, so I'm feeling it out. And but one thing that I've noticed with those day 6 arrows and the outserts, and the only thing that I can surmise, like every 5th shot, basically, one of the 5 arrows I'm shooting, I draw it back and I get it back as soon as I anchor it and it cams over hard, the freaking arrow pops off the rest. And I'm like, the knock pops out of the string, and I'm like, oh my God. And I check the knock fit, because John and I were just talking about this. I think what's happening is when the rest pops up aggressively like that, because the cam seats like that, and it's got that outsert on it, I think it's catching and like stopping it and pulling it off, because it's at the same point in the draw cycle every single time. And
is that outsert that close to your rest?
I don't know.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, now that you say that, but they're long. I mean, it's this long,
right? So, yeah, that could be an issue but it's only one arrow.
I don't have a marked, but it's one of the 5. But I'm just doing it to just continue shooting and
right
get my shot process down. And I went out the other day and just stopped what I was doing, grabbed my bow, and shot 5 arrows and was done. And I had them all within a 1.5 inch circle. And so I was like, well, at 25 cold, just picking it up and shooting, I couldn't really ask for anything better.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to do, is just, I don't shoot 50 arrows a day, but I want to get out and shoot my bow and, just get used to it.
All right, just stay in tune with it. Stay in touch. That's a good idea for it. Even, I'll be bringing my block target and get out there and just like we did before, shoot, because now we're in a different atmosphere, even though it seems like it wouldn't make a difference, but it did when we were out in Idaho. Something was weird about it. You were one way and I was the other. So
well, at least my bow's getting acclimatized.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully it's not getting. Well, I won't say that, but hopefully it's being taken well taken care of.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, it's it's kind of unfortunate that Ernie's got an inReach, but he didn't really practice with it, and he's not familiar with it, and he's saying, it's not working that well. But he texts his wife, and then I get information like through his wife, through Frank's wife, through my wife, then to me. So it's like,
seven. What was that? With Kevin Bacon.
6 degrees of
6
separation.
degrees separation.
But he like, I heard a story. Yeah, they went up, they found a really good spot, and they turned around, and then a cow fell in the mud and was like, got stuck.
Was it a
cow
cow
elk or a moo cow? Like, I don't know. Didn't have horns. Like, okay.
Ended up being a moo cow.
Yeah. Beef cow. So I don't know. Like I say, when we get back with those guys, it's gonna be definitely some stories.
Oh. Yeah. 3 weeks of Frank hunting, Frank and Ernie together. There are definitely going to be some stories, and I'm sure there's going to be quite a few shit your pants stories too.
But one of the things that I didn't say is, so when I go out there, there's a pretty bad bear population, like a bear problem out there. And so I think the tag is like $100 or less. So I'm going to get a bear tag, and if I get a chance to shoot one, I'm going to shoot it. Because I think any other bear that I shoot is going to be, over bait here in Michigan, or, with a guide or something like that. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, be one of those things if you don't buy a tag and you could just shoot one out in the wild walking around.
Right. Spot stock or if you shoot an elk,
set up on the gut pile.
Set up on the pile.
So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it's weird because like through this podcast and stuff, like whether it's, elk, antelope, bear, pigs, anything. It's like, I guess I wasn't ever like on my list of hunts to do. I mean, like I've said before, my grandpa's, he hunted, all over the world. And he went to Africa a bunch of times, shot caribou up in Manitoba or British Columbia or somewhere. Shot black bears up there, all with a rifle. Did a lot of elk hunting, a lot of mule deer. And so I grew up like around that, but it wasn't ever like, man, I really want to go. But now it's just like, I want to shoot everything with a bow. I mean, I was even thinking about like when we were in Idaho, I'm like, man, we were out there, we didn't kill anything. I'm like, yeah, we did. We killed grouse. I was thinking about like small game that I've killed with my bow. Mm-hmm. Like grouse ramen noodles. Like,
that's pretty good.
So, I mean, I think outside of this, like I don't think I would ever been like, yeah, I want to shoot a bear. Like, no, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you got points for bear here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so it's just a matter of.
Yeah, that's one thing I think. Just because like we have them on our property, it'd be cool to shoot a bear on your property,
right?
But it's not going to be easy by any means, just because it's so far away and having to bait.
Right. But if you got the opportunity out there where there's so many,
right?
Why not?
And I don't think I want to get like a bearskin like rug, like head and claws and all that, but I'd like to have the hide tanned. Like,
yeah, I mean, they have it like down by your fireplace, your basement, or something.
Yeah, I was even thinking about that, like with the elk hide, like when we were at Doc's and he had it up on the wall, like one of the elk hides on the wall. It was pretty cool. But I don't know. It's just weird because like for a trip out there, like you only got so much space to bring shit back. Like that's.
I got a lot of space now.
Yeah, I'll have Frank and Ernie swing by.
Well, they got a whole trailer, but of course they got the quads and everything else. So
that's what we should do. Is we should have them coordinate with you and stop by.
No, Frank was talking about. Did they bring the freezer?
They did.
They did. So they brought the big chest freezer.
It's not working.
Well, Right. They brought a generator too, right?
Yeah.
So they could, if they had to, they could fire it up.
It's not working. They're
Oh.
bringing it as a giant cooler.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a work. Like you plug it in and it's not working.
Yeah. Like when they pulled it out of the shed, it wasn't.
Oh.
It didn't get cold.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So they just brought it as a huge cooler.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, they're like, we get dry ice and we got space. I mean, because what are they going to do? Go buy another freezer or a whole bunch of coolers, or I mean.
Well, shit. Nowadays, you could buy a freaking working freezer for the price of a Yeti.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you got the room and the means to power it.
So
Ernie's a freaking electrician by trade, so I'm sure he could wire up something with a generator in the back of the truck and down.
So let's make some predictions, John. Frank and Ernie, me, and you.
Who's gonna shoot one first?
Yeah, let's say that.
Well, my money right now, like, nothing against Uncle Frank, but you know how Ernie is like laser focused on stuff. Like when I knew, like, from the time that those guys decided they were going, Ernie was out running and like, hey, this is what I'm doing. He was focused on it. Uncle Frank, he was excited and kind of focused, but he was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to have fun.
I'm going to hunt my hunt.
Right. And it's like, well, you'd have a lot better hunt if you did some preparation now. If you want, or you're doing a little bit of hiking, any suck now is way less suck later.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, Ernie got it done with the turkeys.
He killed a deer in Nebraska.
Yeah. So, I think, and the other, what Ernie has going for him is Frank is, just like with turkeys, Frank is an awesome caller for turkeys. And I know that he was putting his time in playing with it. And I sent him those elk nut videos, and I'm sure that they listen to that out there. And I know Uncle Frank, the way he is, just, his nature with calling, that he will have that down. And so if there's an opportunity for them to call in and out, I believe Uncle Frank could do it. And then Ernie would be the one getting the shot opportunity most likely. I know Ernie was excited and saying how he was going to call in and out for Frank. And, I mean, I heard Ernie's got the old school
Hoochie Mama.
Yeah, he's got the Hoochie Mama and the old school tube
Terminator.
Open reed diaphragm. Looked like a huge black dildo sticking out of his pack when we. Excuse me, sorry about that. But yeah, I was like, "Whoa, what is that, Ernie?" But and Ernie, he went and hiked the dunes with me before they left. With he had, I think, 25 pounds in his pack or whatever. The day before we hiked, that was the hike with Uncle Frank when we hit the blockhouse hill, but 90% of that was flat ground. And we weighed Uncle Frank's pack, and he was like, yeah, it's probably 20, 25 pounds. And it was like, yeah, it's 18, Uncle Frank. But at least he got out there, he did it. We climbed the blockhouse hill. I did a little Insta story, and then that part of it didn't get videoed. It just got us coming back down. But, Ernie, we stopped and we did some push-ups, and Uncle Frank sat on the log and laughed at us while we did the push-ups. But yeah, I think out of those two being out there for, 2 weeks before we get there, basically, they've been there for opening day up until, you're going to arrive late on the 11th, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be out, to my spot on the 12th, basically. I think, I mean, it's a toss-up depending on whose shot opportunity is on the day that they get into the elk. But I think if Ernie gets a shot, he will make it. make it count. Where Uncle Frank might get a shot, and he might get a little excited, and kind of like Nebraska, maybe get an opportunity, but maybe not connect. Now with you, I mean, I got all kinds of confidence with Joe. He's been out there now for what, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's hunted with Paul Medell, the elk nut, last year or the year we were out in Idaho, and so he's got pretty good background in it now, and sounds like he's got a pretty good plan set up for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like you got a guided hunt set up.
Yeah, well, so do you.
Well, yeah, Eddie, he's been out there. He's been scouting spots. So for me now, I'm going out. My buddy Eddie lives in Bozeman, and he's got his horses. He's been out in this spot several times. But I think he's kind of, it's our plan A, and I'm not sure. He's got other spots that he hunted in the past, but I don't know if he's actually been to those this year, doing any scouting. Of course, I guess that don't really matter because it's a spot if you know it, and you're like, hey, let's go over there.
The elk are going to be there or they're not.
Exactly. So, but, and I've checked out spots, man. Like I said, I've been doing e-scouting, so there's a couple spots where I even thought of, man, I could even quick stop in and like do a little scope out myself before I get to the other, before I hook up with Eddie. But
now, Joe has the same hunting style as you and I do. So it's born and raised, like, go find him coupled with the Paul Medell, soft calling, kind of locate and then
try to feel them out, figure out, take their temperature and figure out, okay, is this a hot bull or is it just a bull that's sounding off?
But then
slow play it, or can I get aggressive?
Eddie has a little different style. Yeah. So how is your hunt gonna
play
out?
That's the other part where it's like, Eddie's he's more methodical. Like he likes to he's killed some big bulls. He's got a 350 plus or 380 on his wall. But he's like I watched him all summer, and he pretty much, he's like, I had notes on where he was going, when he was going, and so like his biggest bull, he actually, set it up where he knew where he was coming, like his evening routine, and he kind of like got in, got set up, cut him off, and he's very like scent control oriented. So, as a matter of fact, he called me the other night and he was talking about, food and how much clothes. And he was telling me how his pack, last year he backcountry hunted, his pack weighed 90 pounds. I'm like, holy, what? He's like, well, that was for 10 days. So I'm like, well, I guess, yeah, if you're going in for 10 days, we're not doing that. And then we're talking about food. And I had mentioned the butthole sandwiches, and he's like, butthole sandwich? What? He's like, you better explain. I'm like, well, it's a bagel, it's peanut butter, honey, bacon, and you vacuum seal it, and when you vacuum seal it, the peanut butter oozes out the center portion hole, and hence the butthole sandwich. He's like, peanut butter on the mountain? I'm like, is that like a problem? He's like, well, it's pretty smelly. I'm like, are you afraid of bears? He's like, no, I don't want the elk to smell it. Like, oh, well, if you're worried about the elk smelling the peanut butter sandwich, then I think you should be more worried about the elk smelling your butthole. After 4 days of not showering, I think they're not going to just smell the peanut butter. They're going to smell your stinky ass. So you got to, when it comes down to that, even like all the guys we talked to, Trent Fisher, Dirk, all them guys are like, yeah, you got to hunt the wind. There's no way around it. Phelps, it's like, there's no way you're going to stay clean and fresh smelling. You could have a fresh scent lock suit every day, and the elk are still going to smell you. That's the one thing you cannot fool, is their nose.
Like out there right now, Joe, when he called me today, says 91 degrees. He's driving down.
Yeah,
and he's like, it'll be 10 degrees cooler where we're at, but he's like, it's and then Wednesday is going to be 40 and snowing. So,
yeah, and Bozeman, I think it was projected like Thursday or Friday. It was like, maybe it was Saturday. It was 96 degrees. That's probably why the fires all broke out. It was hotter, hell and dry. But yeah, you're not going to walk around the mountain for 4 days and smell fresh.
Yeah,
or not.
Peanut butter is going to be the last of your worries.
Exactly. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not worried about that, Ed. He's like, whoa, I just pack just clean food, like very bland. Like, it's too bad for you. I got my Ready Wise meals, and I got my butthole sandwiches, and I got some jerky and
Snickers, I'm sure.
Yep, Snickers for every day. And I told him, I'm like, yeah, I got my bulletproof creamer, coffee, and I got my Tioga Rise instant coffee. And he's like, you're bringing coffee? Like, yeah, bringing coffee. Like, I'm gonna get up in the morning, I'm gonna boil me a pot of water, and I'm gonna make me some instant coffee with my bulletproof packet and a couple packets of oatmeal, and I'll be ready to freaking hit the mountain. So I think it'll be. I'll have to open. He's pretty old school, like I said. He did it for a lot of years in the past, and he took a lot of years off. His first year back was the year we went to Idaho. That was who I was originally supposed to hunt with, and then he hunted with the guy I'm going with this year, Mark. Mark went out there, and another guy here from Muskegon. And they kind of did like what they pulled his camper out, and I think they were more southwest of where we're going to be now. They were kind of in grizzly country, actually. So they were camper, hard-sided camper, and then just, day trips. Which I'm not opposed to that either. I mean, it all depends on what the situation, like Corey Jacobs. Corey Jacobs is like, listen, he's done bivvy hunting, but he thinks a day trip is more proficient, basically, because you can go in, you can cover a whole area. You're going to walk your balls off. You might cover 15, 16 miles, but you got it all covered in a day. So instead of going in, sleeping, you're like, shit, there's no elk here. Even
Dirk said the same
thing.
Dirk
said the same thing, Yeah, Dirk's hunted with Corey for years. So that right there, I'm going out with every intentions of doing a bivvy hunt for 3 to 4 days, and then if that area doesn't work out, move to a different one. But we can also, I can sleep in the bed of my truck too. So.
But he has a different, like, that's why I was just wondering the hunting style, because he is more of a set up on a transition and wait for the elk instead of, he's not a big caller, or at least that's what
well, he's a caller. He likes to call, but yeah, he isn't. It's more of, he likes to kind of pattern out. He's from open country. So he can see them, spot them, kind of watch their pattern, and then try to make a move. Where, a lot of the guys that we've talked to, like with Dirk and them, it's like they're going in, they want to hear one, and then they're going to go in after him, set up, either get aggressive. Most of those guys get real aggressive, but like the Paul Medell setup is take the temperature. And his theory is like, if I hear him, I can call him in. Like, I can get him to come over to me. It might take a while, but he's not going to get super aggressive right away, depending on what the situation's like. And that's kind of like, I'm really excited to put that calling, the slow play sequence and all that into effect this year, especially after our last encounter in Idaho, man, that kind of gave me a little bit of validation, like I could do it.
Well, like I feel the same way, and I mean I said it on the last podcast when we talked to Dirk, but like I wish, like I guess what I love from being able to do this and talk to these guys, and having had an elk encounter, it's easy to learn from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like what you just said, there can be some guys that would be like, oh, I don't need to listen to any of that stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. We just walked out there and called one in, called in a couple of them. And that's true. But like now, like for you and I, when we called in those ones for you, that elk, we did exactly what Paul Medell said. We just didn't know it. Like, you know what I mean? We were just set up poorly.
Right. I mean, but I listened to that while you were sleeping all the way out there, and it was like, yeah, that was a cold call,
Mm-hmm.
cow sequence. We were just sitting there cold calling, doing cows, and it worked like that some bitch come running right to us. We were just not set up right.
But then on the big one, we did basically just what Dirk said, and we just kept just following right along with them. And then we shut up,
right,
and let them kind of do what they were doing. And we were just close enough to where we wanted to be. We knew where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And we were right. And then that last encounter where you just did the roundup and took off, like, man, if we could have just been a little bit more patient and less aggressive, and I think that's like what I took away most from like the Paul Medell seminar deal was he's like, I don't need to hear him. I don't even want to hear him. He's like, if I just know that they're there, maybe I heard them earlier, or maybe I saw them go over there. Well, all I got to do is call them, do this soft calling, a little bit of raking, and they're going to come investigate. And, we just went over there like all gung ho, and we didn't realize we were 20 feet away from them. I mean,
right. But, the thing is, too, that could have worked out, too. Like Dirk said, he's like, that scenario, it could have went either way. You might have did that. And that was one of Paul, that was one of the, actually, I think that was part of Elk 101, get in, get close, wait till they get in their bedding area. And then he's more apt to, like, once his cows are down, and that's what we had talked about. That was our whole plan. It was like, all right, we're going to get up there, we're going to do a cow call, and we're going to freaking hammer him with a bugle over him and try to pull him out. And he just said, well, I have had enough. Okay.
These guys again?
Yeah. And so
I don't know. I mean, I'm very optimistic. I just think, like, realistically, like sheer numbers, instead of just having one group, you and I,
right.
Now we're going to have basically 3 groups to have opportunity to kill anything. And there's like,
I think
so many tags between us.
Realistically, I think we'll at least go 50%. I think 2 of the 4 of us will fill a tag.
Well, I'm due because I got nothing with turkeys, so I'm up. Damn it! But yeah, like I say, I'm optimistic.
You had a lot of opportunities at turkeys. Well, I'm saying if you want to go back a few years, you.
Oh yeah. I'm the world's worst turkey bow hunter.
Like, let's not put that into the elk.
No.
Woods.
Well, I'm just saying, like, for all of that, I'm super optimistic, and I'm, we're gonna. I mean, for yourself, I guess, if you come home with 3 tags, like, something went terribly wrong. Because I mean,
if I come home with 3 empty tags,
you might as well not come home.
Yeah, I'll be off the
Your
podcast.
wife's gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
She's already
No.
said you've taken 10 vacations this year.
I know.
And
then I'm taking this 3-week vacation, and yeah, and she bought me a new truck to go on the vacation.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, for you to have 3 tags and, come home with all, so I've got a good feeling that you're going to kill something.
I'm confident that I'm confident I'll fill at least 2 of the tags. Honestly, I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm confident I could fill all 3, especially with the time. If I was only going out there for 7 or 10 days, then I definitely would. I wouldn't even have 3 tags. So I feel like I think the hardest one to fill will be the antelope. Actually, I mean, because it's going to be hard getting in close, especially they've already been screwed with. It's not like it's opening. The season started the 15th of August, so you're talking they've already been screwed with for a month. Now they might be coming in the rut, so the decoy part of it might come into effect where I can get a shot opportunity. But like with elk, I know if we find elk, or when we find elk, I'm confident that, and I'm not like a great caller or anything, but with the homework I've been doing and practicing, I feel like I can call when it. Thanks to Paul Medell, Dirk, and Corey, all those guys, especially the Elk Nut app. I mean, that breaks it down. I mean, we listen to that app in the mountains in Idaho, like sitting on top of the wallow after that big freaking encounter with that huge bull. It's like, well, this is that. Oh, yeah. So you can sit there. You could be in the middle of a calling sequence and be like, oh, what was that sound? Okay, what does that mean? Okay, I got to do this. I guess if you're at that point, then you didn't do enough homework. But
you had the foresight to have it downloaded,
right?
So you can reference it later.
My biggest thing is like my buddy Mark. God bless him, but he, was like he waited to the last minute. He's like, hey, I need some out calls. I'm like, do you have any? Have you been practicing? No, I need to get them. I need to get those ordered for me. I'm like, well, I'm putting an order in because all mine are all blown out. I mean, I'm like, so I'll put in an order for you. But they came in on Thursday, and I dropped them off to him, and, he's making turkey calls with them. Like, and then he come over today. I was double checking, just going over his bow and everything. And I'm like, hey, have you been practicing? Did you listen to that, the seminar or any of that? No, I'm going to listen to that on the way out. I'm like, at that point, you might as well not even listen to it. I mean, because it's too late. You're not going to be able to make those noises, them sounds. I guess you might as well listen to it, but listen to it just to know what you're hearing, I guess. Because you're not going to sound anything like what you should.
I don't know.
But
I feel a lot more confident in that now, going out there and like I say, just understanding like more of the why. Why?
And the guy you're hunting with, Joe, I mean, like I said, he's hunted with Paul Medell. So I mean, it's not like he's listened to it. He's gone on a full blown hunt with him and 3 other guys in the freaking backcountry Idaho.
And Paul Jr.
Yeah.
And Pure Elevation.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Crockett.
So, yeah, he's got, like my buddy Eddie, he's got experience, but he's been out of the game. Joe is like right in the freaking hotbed of the shit. So, if you guys can't get it done, you fucking got a problem.
Well, like I said, it's just a matter of finding out, kind of like you said. And I don't.
Yeah, because you're on a time streak, basically. I mean, you got 7? You're gonna be there 7 days.
I have 9 days, but so 7 days to hunt.
Yeah, because 2 days of travel.
Yep. So, I mean, it is what it is. I just have to.
Now, when you're there, is that like archery only, or is the
Muzzleloader
season
opens on the 12th.
Oh, so you're coinciding with muzzleloader. So now you might have to deal with that. So do you have to wear orange then, or should you wear orange?
I don't know. I was just thinking about that.
Like,
he didn't mention it.
Get shot.
Yeah, I don't. He said, I think what they said last time, and even what Danny said, is that they didn't run into any muzzleloader hunters. They ran into bear hunters.
Hmm.
And, I mean, bear season is open with rifles right now, too, so.
Yeah, but they're not going to
mistake me for a bear.
But,
that's, another.
Just want to have your blaze orange to put over your head as you're packing it out, because you don't want some clown shooting you in the back.
Yeah. Well,
but
it'll be a story.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely, there'll be no shortage of stories after September. So
this one, we may have a week off of the podcast, because I'll be elk hunting, John will be elk hunting, and then when we get back, we can go through some of the Frank and Ernie stuff. And I'm bringing the recorder out there, so we'll be recording a podcast.
You and Joe
in the field. Yeah, I mean Frank and Ernie will be there too.
Right.
But and that one's going to be not with the headsets. It's going to be just with the recorder mic. So it's going to be a true in the field shit show podcast. So
all you hear is Frank.
So
and maybe, depending on how it goes with my hunt, I mean, when you're back, I'll still be out there. We could do a call in from Eddie's or something too, and then me and Eddie could be on speaker or something.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be cool too. It's just like I say, right now we're getting it. I mean, so what you said before, as far as like getting into like the nuts and bolts of like hunting versus podcasting, it's like, well, now we're going to be hunting, like, so it's
right.
just a matter of like,
yeah. So that, I mean, like I said, the hunting part of it comes first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the why, or the the reason. Well,
and I think, I mean, so one of our Patreons, Eric Redder, he just killed a buck in, I think it was Kentucky, killed a velvet buck, and he said he's from listening to podcasts and everything that gives him, the confidence, all of the stuff to
right.
And it's not necessarily our podcast. I mean, I'm sure he listens to a lot of the other podcasts as well. But it's like, for me, it's like I like going out there and trying all this stuff that I hear about.
Absolutely.
And
I mean,
looking at the techniques and all that stuff and like seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. I mean, I would, before we got into any of this, I wasn't going I'm doing a 3.5 mile round trip. Hell no, I wasn't. Like,
right.
Those guys are crazy.
No, that's what's so awesome about this whole social media thing with the podcast and all that. Before I just, like, I'm out here working in the garage, working on bows, or down in my basement working, and I got hours of just dull work time. And I just listen to the radio, mindless shit. Now it's like, for the last month or more, I've been listening to, Elk Talk podcast, Cody Rich's podcast, Dirk, I just search them. Dirk Durham, freaking Paul Medell, Randy Newberg, any of those. I mean, and that's just for elk, but you can do that with whitetail and everything. Anyone else. You might, hey, Bowhunter Chronicles might pop up and search,
You're like, these guys.
But Randy Newberg in his intro with the Elk Talk podcast is something about, if you want to learn how to elk hunt, don't listen to us. We can give you a list of the people you should listen to. Well, that's us in the bow hunting world. we can point you in the right direction.
Make you feel better about yourselves.
Right. The world's worst bow hunters, and they have a podcast. What the hell?
Oh. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this upcoming season, and actually, even being able to talk to some of our other friends that are out hunting, and get some of that perspective too. Like Greg Litzinger is out in Montana right now with Tim Bunow, and he's out there. Tim's already killed an antelope, and they're out there chasing elk, and it sounds like it was just a mess. Like there were 7 different vehicles at the place where they started, and they're like Plan B. But I mean, I love that aspect of it. And, so like hopefully Tom and Sarah will get some elk, Pat and Amber,
Yes, Pat and Amber
they leave next Friday as well.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and they're just east of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I could probably hook up with them too. Like, hey, how you guys hunt going? I was like, let's just go find a new spot together. Come on. So.
But yeah, a lot of big things. Should have a whole bunch of stuff, and this is really just we're just scratching the surface into our hunting season now. So this is when it gets fun. This is when it all comes to fruition, right?
Tom and Sarah, are they in Colorado again?
Wyoming.
Yeah, because they went out and did an early season scout too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and they're there.
Yep.
I seen they posted day 1. So.
Yep. Day 1, don't get eaten by grizzly. Rule number 1.
No, I have a feeling like it'll definitely be it's the year to kill. So between Pat and Amber, Tom, Sarah, us, Frank and Ernie, I think we're going to be on the better half of 500. So.
Well, we look forward to sharing it with you folks, and it's kind of all we got for tonight. I mean,
yeah, I got to get back to work.
He's got to
put the spotlights out to go shoot some more.
Another cable stretching, and
yep, we got one more bow to finish up for other people. I've pretty much emptied them out today. I got three of them done today. So,
but yeah, don't forget about us if we take a week off for hunting, and
just know that
we'll be back online
when we do get back. It'll be worth the listen because there's going to be some damn good stories. So, and you probably won't be able to shut me up. You guys are used to me not talking much, but this is the stuff that really excites me. So, we'll see you soon.
And make sure to let us know what you want for content as far as videos. If you got anything you want to see from John, I know we need to do a full start to finish string. Just because that's a really cool process. But anything like that, anything you guys want to hear about, just reach out to us. Let us know what we're doing, good, bad, or indifferent. And
I was going to do my pack dump too, just a version of it. I don't know if people want to see it or not, but I'll video it, and then if we get some requests for it, then we'll edit it and put it out there. It'll be a little late for this season, but at least it'll be on. We can put it on YouTube.
For sure. But that's all we got for this evening. Thanks for listening.
See ya.